Broncos v the Sharks. Broncos get the job done 34-28. Look, honestly, you could go into this game and you can get what you want out of it. You could nitpick the shit out of it and go, what the hell was that? Or you could say, listen, Broncos were really poor the first half. When they needed to win, they pulled it out. They got the job done. So as a Broncos fan, I'm just happy. Take the win and move on. They desperately needed a good win like that. As a Sharkies fan, geez, it doesn't get much more disappointing than that. You have this incredible first half where you defend your backside off. You have this really good attack where you're tearing the Broncos apart. You get them into this position where, what did we speak about last week? The lack of ruthlessness that the Sharkies have. And unfortunately, that lack of ruthlessness cost them an important win against the Brisbane Broncos. They could have really put some separation between them and the rest of the 8 with a win like this. A really, really vital loss for the Sharkies. And, you know, unfortunately, that last 10 minutes for Nico, it wasn't great. I do think it's just so disappointing for Nico because he built into the year so nicely and he had this really good 4 to 6 weeks of rugby league. But his last month or so, especially on the weekend, me personally, I think that like a lot of people are saying, bring Atkins in or whatever. I think that's too drastic at the moment. I think you're mixing too many things up. However, I personally think put Nico in the 6 jersey, put Trindle in the 7 jersey, and just be done with it. I think that's the only way to send because that's going to send a strong message to the Sharkies that, guys, Dally M winner 7 is being moved position. So movement's happening here. I think that needs to happen. To just say, look, is Hines Hines at his best is a better player than Trindle, but is Trindle at this stage of his career more mentally suited to the 7 jersey? I think he might be. Just more confident, more willing to just back himself. Don't get me wrong, I do feel like sometimes Hines' criticism shades Trindle a little bit too much where people aren't critical. It's like even Trindle, I think, had an error in the end there. I think they need to go back to the 4 forward bench. I think carrying Atkinson is just a waste at the moment. But a super disappointing game for the Sharkies. Roo, what are your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, disappointing because I thought the halves were really good in the first half.
They were great.
I thought they both looked great, but then you're right. That last 10 minutes for Hines was a disaster. But also, I thought the turning point in this game was Trindle's kick out on the full.
Yeah.
That's where this game turned in that moment.
And everyone will talk about Hines, and rightly so. I'm not trying to deflect, but not enough will be spoken about. Trindle hasn't been great either, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that... Yeah, I thought as soon as he kicked out on the full, you just saw the Broncos get a real lift out of that. Obviously, the Cartella sin bin just on half time, and I know they won that period, but like we had the stats last year. I think it was about the sin bins, how it tends to affect you more after that 10-minute period once everyone's sort of back on, and you look at Brisbane won that period 22-0.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
As soon as he came back on the field, 22-0 after that. But yeah, the first half, the halves are sensational. Blake Brayley, like I had him texted into Team of the Week at half time. He was flying.
He was
Blake
so
Brayley,
good. He was
doing incredible
tearing us
things.
apart.
And the Broncos looked like they had no answer. Like the Broncos were getting holes punched in them every single set of 6. They had no answer.
It was 4-0 in the line breaks in the first 16 minutes to the Sharkies, and it was all around. You know, a lot of Brayley had a lot to do with it. It was a decimation.
Oh, it's one of those games that shut like. And unfortunately, they're just starting to have more and more of these games.
It's just that spiteful ruthlessness. They need to just go, yeah, we got them on the ropes. Let's fucking put them away.
It was a really good point that I thought Tim made earlier in the show that, you know, a guy like Jayara would be unreal, that he loses and he's filthy, stares at the ceiling for the rest of the night. That's like and yeah, maybe moving Hines to 6. I agree with the point of view of that. I think all these guys know they're pretty comfortable on this side. Like Fitzy's made, like what's the biggest change he's made in the last 3 years of this side? Like it took him. It took him 2.5 years to do it.
Yeah, like, that's the biggest one.
That's probably the biggest one.
And it took him playing out of his skin. I don't agree with like blowing up because like if you pull Hines out of the side now, like you are maybe I don't know, maybe that's right. I don't think so. I think at least initially put him in the 6 jersey. Trindle, this is your team now, and just let Hines take a backwards seat for a bit. What do you reckon, boys?
Yeah. Nico's such an interesting one, isn't he? Because he's got the talent of most halfbacks in the game, give or take a couple.
Look at the first half. It was outstanding.
And I go to sort of think can't handle big games and he doesn't perform in big games and that. I think there's more to it than that. He's played well in big games and in finals games before. It's just closing them out and having that killer instinct. And we spoke last week about them not having that killer instinct and attitude and that win at all costs attitude. And we saw it on the weekend because he was fantastic for most of the game. But when you're the number 7 of a club, whether you're on $1 million or you're on 200,000, you need to steer your team around and get them home and close the game out, especially when you lead by that sort of margin. And he just didn't come up. And it's like he's just failing to do it in the big moments. And look, maybe that's Nico Hynes and maybe that's okay. And, he'll have good seasons, but you're trying to win a premiership and you just go, if you can't close out big games and have moments then, it's like, well, how far can this team go?
That's why I reckon, because if you put him in the 6 jersey, you get all the good game bit and you get someone else to close the game out. And so that the concern about in the last 10 minutes when the big calls need to be made, he's not making those calls. He's getting Trindle to make those calls and he's the tip of the spear rather than being the handle kind of thing.
So specifically you're saying you just have Trindle in the 7 and organising the team, getting him around the park, kick to this corner, do this, do that, and then Nico's role is what exactly?
He's the attacking 6. He's the tip of the spear. Like, for example, look at the try he scored out the back there. That's a 6. That's what a 6 would do.
I would essentially have Trindle as the 7 and Nico is almost like a second fullback in this footy side.
Yes, absolutely.
Sweeping to both sides,
Dylan Brown-ish.
How it should have been the entire time.
And he's also he's got an outstanding ball-playing game, Nico, but he also has...
Deceptive
I think his running game is so underrated. Deceptive is the word. Like... That 1, 2, 3, the first 3 steps he takes, he skins players so quickly. And because he's big, he's strong, but he's quick. And it's like probably because he is having to your boy's point, organising a team, he's worried about the next play and the next play. Like, mate, just run the ball.
And you're still going to get all the good stuff. Like, it was brilliant. So he'd identify Ezra Mann, had just tried to pull a shot off on Rudolph. So what does Hines do? He goes, I'm coming straight back at you. See if you make that decision again. Boom. Go straight through the line again. Then he gets a play with Trindle out the back, real tight block play, scores a try. You can do that as a 6. That's where Hines is at his best, where it's free-flowing, a bit of extra space, identifying when whereas I just think just give the team to Trindle, put the 7 on his back. And look, then the argument is about who's getting paid the most. Look, you can when the contracts end, you can have that conversation with everyone. At the moment, I just think it's a strong enough change to send a bit of a warning shot to the rest of the roster that, guys, that's not good enough. But it's not so strong that you have to rebuild the whole season. People go, put Atkins in. But then what do you do next year then?
Yeah. And I think it's also yes, you're handing the team to Trindle, but I think you're handing the team to Trindle and Brayley.
Yeah, and Brayley as well.
Sure. Yeah.
They're the main guys. And you just say to Nico, mate, I just want you to be the best attacking player you can be.
Be the icing.
And also, if you want to sit here and, as rugby league fans love to do, point the finger at salaries and all that, Nico can be $1 million 5'8".
Absolutely, he can.
And his impact in attack can be even more substantial. He's just not necessarily getting him around the park and worrying about closing it out.
Well, look at the first 40 minutes. I don't think there'd be any Sharks fans going, not happy with Hines. He was outstanding. Yep. So that's just where I reckon there's... Do you believe that change needs to happen, though?
I've been saying this for 2 years. He's not the best 7 at the club. He's the best footballer that wears 7. He's not the best 7 at the club. It's Trindle.
Or do you believe with the form that they're in right now that Fitzy has to send a message with some change?
Oh, I think so. And I also think with that Hines, the play that he, in my opinion, took the dive on the obstruction, it almost looked like that went in the it's too hard basket at the moment. And I thought that was an interesting call, by the way, because his foot did touch Hines. I think he took a dive personally. I think he played into it. But I wouldn't be surprised if that one opens a can of worms.
Ironically, I reckon if Hines tried to get straight up and chase, I reckon he gets the penalty.
He probably does, yeah.
But I think at the optics of it...
He went down and all the Sharkies went, nope, it's over.
And I think it was the optics of it that the bunker was trying to send a message we are not going to reward this kind of play. I think it was a 50-50 call. Sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't. I think it's a good message to send. If you fight for the play, we'll give you the penalty. I know that might not have happened, but I'm assuming it did.
Yeah, because live, when I first watched it, I thought this will be a no try. His foot has touched Nico Hynes. He has fallen over. But I respect the bunker for making the call. It opens up a can of worms.
Absolutely. It's hard for me to talk about this because people go, you're going to be biased because the Broncos got the penalty. If they didn't give it to him, I would have been fine with it because I get it. It did touch him. But if you go back to all the stuff I've talked about, guys, I don't think players should be rewarded for milking that situation. And if it was against the Broncos, I'd say the same thing. If we want to send strong messages of like, if you fight to get to the tackle, we'll reward you for that. But if you dive and make it look bad, we're not going to reward you for that. Just quickly on the Sharkies thing, what are your thoughts on it, mate?
On the Hines diving or just in general?
In general, does change need to happen?
Yeah.
Would you move anything? What would you do?
Yeah, well, I think, I've probably been in the similar camp to Rue. I've thought they probably should have done that for a little while, to be honest with you. I was reading some stuff where in the Telegraph, some people saying, moving to fullback even. I think that's a bit too extreme. I think just take there is just that like added burden that comes with the number 7 jersey. I just don't think he doesn't need it. Yeah. And the way that they play anyway, Trindle is the 7 and he's the 6 as it is. So just why not fully take that pressure off the number 7 thing and hopefully that can just let him play some good footy, doing the icing on the cake job.
And I also think that like if Trindle's the 7 and doesn't close out the game, don't get me wrong, that's just as bad, but there's going to be less headlines around that. So it's a win-win for everyone. But as soon as Hines is in that 7 role, he doesn't close out the game, and rightly so, it is wrong, he should close out the game, there are headlines around it. So I actually believe there's going to be less noise. You got less noise to work with if you're the Sharkies. The tough thing is, as I said, if you look at their first half, like that Sharkies is a problem for teams, especially with Brayley out of dummy half. Like honestly, all jokes aside, he must have woke up a couple of weeks ago and said, I'm changed. I wonder whether this to the camera after he scored that. Was he scored the try? Was it he scored?
Yeah, he scored. Yeah.
When he was going like this to the camera, I wonder whether that was to a lot of Sharkies fans and me too, questioning the running game. I wonder. I don't know what. Maybe it wasn't, but it seems like the last few weeks he's just gone bang.
Might just be a Game of Thrones fan.
and a rock. And a rock fan.
He's a Gladiator fan. Is that not off? Are you not entertained? But yeah, since the last few weeks, he's been outstanding.
I'll tell you, in attack, he was fantastic. Britton Nicola, stats so impressive, but geez, in defence, especially in the second half, God, there was some poor plays from him in defence.
It's just strange because he's been quite good.
Yeah, he had the miss on Reece Walsh late in the game, which is a shocker. It was him and sort of AFB at fault for that Corey Pax try from dummy half, which was like inexcusable.
Mate, the Adam Reynolds one as well. He had a hold of Adam Reynolds and he fought him off to get the offload away. Very disappointing.
Weird.
Yeah.
And he was so good in attack in the first half as well. I'm with you. It was definitely a game to forget for Nicola. I know he was Nicola. I know he was good in attack, but defensively cost him.
I'll tell you the other one too, and I've been critical of him over the last year or two, but I thought that was Toby Rudolph's best 30 minutes I've seen him.
He was great.
He was fantastic yesterday. If they can get that every week from Rudolph for 25 minutes, keeps that spot on the bench for sure.
I'm with you. He was great. Just trying to think. Teague Wilton's line break, that was outstanding, that line that he ran.
He had to go to hospital mid-game as well, Teague Wilton.
Yeah, Broncos right side. Jeez, got torn to absolute bits by the Sharkies.
Does every week, mate.
We'll get into it because it's like... It's the weird thing with Starks. Like in attack, he was phenomenal, but in defence, like some of those reads, like we'll get into it in a bit. We'll stay on the Sharkies.
And just we obviously spoke about Skelton at the start of the show. Katoa just on half time. Oh, what are you doing,
bro?
What are you doing?
Talking about brain explosion.
You're on top.
And you could argue, did the kick out in the full turn the game? Maybe that turned the game. I don't know, but jeez,
that was just so unnecessary.
Just looking, Talakai ran for a bazillion meters, but ironically, him also in defence got a bit torn apart as well. So it's like both of them. Toby Rudolph on the bench, outstanding. Like 123 meters in 33 minutes, outstanding. Just looking.
They were meters with intent too. When he returned, I think it was a drop-off, a dropout he returned. I haven't seen him run like that in years, Toby Rudolph.
Yep, absolutely. All right, anything else for the Sharkies, boys?
No.
Just on the bench, thoughts?
I'd keep Atkinson.
Would you?
Yeah, I don't think they need a 4-forward bench. I think they've got big minute forwards in there, namely AFB. We spoke about him last week. You can have AFB play 60 to 65, allow you to carry Atkinson. He offers really good coverage for your entire team because he's so versatile, offers key spine coverage in every position. And I just think they find a better way to utilise him. And you look at, even the way Tommy did and comes on at 13 in Origin and whatever that is. But, I think you can bring him on, a smaller body, through the middle, chasing a few points. I think he can add a lot of spark and energy. And, I don't think 4-4 bench is the go. I think Atkinson should be there.
See, I think the flip side, I think when he is brought on, his smaller body in the middle is concerning for the Sharkies and they get rolled a bit. I think they need to go back to a 4-forward bench. It's when they were at their best over the last few years. Yes, I totally get the coverage thing. Okay, look, if there's a game where they lose a half, then sure, I'm going to look like egg on my face. I think they need to go back to a 4-forward bench. I think that you can make an argument that middle period is where they lost the game. Not necessarily lost the game, it was towards the end, but you know what I'm saying. I just think I would like to see a 4-forward bench again. I just don't see, he doesn't impact the game enough to carry it.
It's not just him though. It's not just covering the halves. It's if they do that, if they don't have him, then they go a 4-forward bench. If there's one injury in the back line, the entire 7 players, Britton Nicker has to go to centre basically. So you're taking one of your strike weapons out and moving him to centre. I guess a McInnes or someone could go to half if one of the halves went down, but they don't have very good coverage as it stands. So you don't really want to have to move Nicker to centre off one injury.
The only thing is what's your priority? To make sure you've got coverage every game, or to have a bench that impacts as much as possible? And I guess that's probably where you'll land on if you'd want Atkinson or
I want coverage. And mate, you see these days how fit players are. Half the time coaches don't use a player on their bench anyway, and it can be a forward. Like you said, we saw it with the Tigers on the weekend. We see it all the time. Players don't get used, or a player will get used for about 3 minutes, and it's just I just think they're fine.
The way, the Sharks bench used to be one of the most impactful in the competition. I haven't felt that in quite a while. Maybe that's injury, maybe that's players, or whatever.
To be fair, on the weekend, Sif is now playing centre because of the injuries to Hiroti and Iro. So it's they lose his punch off the bench. So it's a different bench regardless of what you do with Atkinson.
When Talakai is not available on the bench, it changes the conversation completely.
Yeah, I just think they've been at their best with the 4-forward bench. I don't think it's worked. I get the coverage idea. I just don't know if it's worked, to be honest.
I think the answer in the midway section to both of you is probably Putter as your 14.
Yeah,
don't mind that.
He was good on the weekend.
Yeah, he was good.
He's a good player.
Yep.
If you had an injury in your halves, he could jump in as a running 6 and play a role. You've got Trindle and 7 there who could play as the half. If you have a centre injury, sure, it is a Nicola that has to shift out there. Okay, but yeah, I think he's probably the better answer personally.
Putter gives a decent option. I see so many teams that run a 4-forward bench without a genuine backline coverage. The second there's an injury, and they happen more often than not, they lose a game because a forward has to go to centre and they just get torn apart and lose games as a result. I don't think it's worth the risk.
I've looked at the last, I think, 3 or 4 games that Atkinson's been 8 minutes, 10 minutes, 13 minutes, and it's 10 metres, 20 metres. I don't know you're getting the impact off the bench, but it's definitely subjective. Let us know, Sharkies fans, what do you reckon? Okay, on to the Broncos. This is going to sound insane, absolutely insane, but their attacking, it's going to make me cry. Their attacking structures are really poor. If you actually go and watch all their tries, they come off individual, breaking a tackle and offloading, or Reynolds throwing over the top. Mate, I've got real concerns. I hate to be Debbie Downer, shout out mum. Their attacking structures have been really poor all year, and it sounds bizarre saying it when they scored 34 points, but if you go back and watch that first half, they had most of the field position, they had a high completion rate, and they had 0 line breaks. And their attack, I don't think there was a single try they scored off a set play that stripped them of numbers. I'm really concerned with their attacking structures. Obviously, their defence is 28 points. It's not good enough, for sure. But I think that they need to either completely overhaul or get someone else in because it's just poor. Outside of that, though, love the fight they showed. Loved it.
Yeah, I don't disagree on that. They did have a heap of fight in this game to get back into it. What about that shot that Ezra Mann put on Britton Nicola?
Oh, great
That was
stuff.
insane.
Yeah. He's such a. I mean, with everything that's going on, you forget just how talented he is as a player. Obviously, you had that misread later on, but that was a great shot on Nicola.
That shot was just textbook.
Oh, mate.
Against one of the best line runner in the game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They Yeah, it was an unreal shot and then such a good statement in the game, but sorry to be Debbie Down, shout out Kempy's mum. Defensively, I think he's quite poor. Like, that overshadowed some really poor defensive read. And that left edge of the Broncos, not just him, it's getting torn to shreds.
Well, the right edge's getting even.
The right edge did too. I said
pieces.
before, sorry, the right edge does every week. I'm like, I meant to say the left edge of Ezra Mam, it's getting ripped apart.
I just think it's, as I said, they won. I'm stoked with it. But, like, they're winning off, like, their individual talent. Like, you know, Reece Walsh will make a line break, or there'll be an incredible run from Payne Haas. He'll flick out the back. Like, they just... There's, like, little things as a team that they aren't at an elite level. Like, they don't identify when there's a quick play of the ball, or their wrestle isn't great, or their structures in attack are really, really poor. I think Trent Barrett's their attack coach, and, you know, respectfully, I just don't know if he's the answer at the moment. I know he was hired before Michael Maguire got there. Because, as I said, like, if you go and actually look at all their tries, they're off these, like, weird situations that, like, for example, the Corey Pakes one was just like a dummy and score.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, it's too hard. It's hard to. I don't want to be too negative because they showed so much fight and grit to fight their way back into this game, and they looked done. Like, they looked out in their feet. They got key players hanging by a thread, and they fought their way back into it. Now, in defence, Staggs was, like, really poor. In attack, he was unbelievable. If he can just get his defence sorted, like, mate, play like that every week, you'll be knocking on the door for Origin again. Like, in attack at least. He was so good in attack.
Well, once you had your tail up in that second half, it was like a runaway train. Like, you had 14 offloads and you completed 85%. Payne Haas, he was just offloading at will. And I said Reece Walsh in particular playing off the back of that momentum in that second phase play. I said, not structured, which is a concern when you come up against sides that don't go to water like the Sharkies did in this one. There was so much energy, so much power in that second half.
Yeah.
You know, this is what the Broncos could be. But as you said, they're not going to get momentum swings like that every week.
Yeah, like, I think, like, Walsh kicked, he had like 2 or 3 7-tackle set kicks. Like, it's just like a lot of things where you just, like, you can take whatever you want out of that game. You can seriously say that was a shocker, or you can say he's brilliant.
I thought Walsh early on when he had those 2 or 3 7-tackle sets that were just so far off the mark. I think he's overplaying his hand with his boot there. You've got Adam Reynolds, who's got this unbelievable kick, probably the best short kicking game in the NRL, and Reece Walsh is doing it. It's like, mate, you don't need to be doing this.
And also, when he was kicking, it was like just one out. Oh, I'm going to kick.
Yeah.
Like, there was no setup to it. It's like, mate, you've literally got, right now, I'm pretty sure statistically Renault's the best kicker. And if you actually look at, like, kicks into the pocket and deep kicks, he's the best in the comp.
He
like,
should be doing all the
everything.
short kicking.
Everything.
And long for that matter.
And then
yeah.
then Walshy is just there for that. Anyway, that's the
Walsh
first.
should be on the end of
Yeah.
Renault's grubbers in behind the line.
Yeah, I'm with you. But as I said, they showed so much fight to get back into it. And when they do get in the mood and they're chasing games, mate, they roll every team. They just roll them.
Frightening.
But it's just a matter of getting that for 80 minutes. What do you reckon, Ray?
I thought Willison was really good too.
Yeah, absolutely.
As a guy that has been sort of up and down over the last year or 18 months, I thought this was a really solid game from him. Yeah, geez, you're a hard team to work out.
Honestly, if you looked at Staggs as just stats,
Yeah.
or you didn't watch the game closely, you would have said this guy has just played the game of his life. Like, and not the game of his life, but, like, 200 metres, 10 tackle breaks, 4 line breaks, 12 tackles, only 2 misses. But it does kind of typify what the Broncos are like. Like, you can look at them at the end of a game and you can take what you want out of it,
Yeah.
good or bad.
With Staggs as well, like, he ran for 200 metres, he had 10 tackle breaks. Like, he almost had more tackle breaks than he had touches of the football. He had 10 tackle breaks and 13 touches of the football.
Mental. Like, in attack, he's just phenomenal. Payne Haas, once again. I will say, like, even though he got the win and he probably was the difference, like, my concern is like, and we said this at the start of the year, did they have too big of a preseason? Are they starting to fall apart a little bit? Like, Reece Walsh was like jumping and grabbing his leg before the game in the warm-up, like going, my knee and that, could barely run.
Like 6 rolls of tape on it.
Mate, crazy.
But
But
credit to him.
Yeah.
When he got out there, I thought he had a really good game.
Yeah.
To be honest,
outside of those kicks and that.
Yeah, 1 or 2 of those, but, a line break, 3 line break assists, 2 try assists, 4 tackle breaks, and no errors as well.
Yeah.
So credit to him for...
Just shows you how important he is to the side.
100%.
Like, Payne Haas, but yeah, back to him. He had 200 metres or 199, 86 post contact, 9 tackle breaks, but this is the kicker, 6 offloads, 40 tackles, only one miss, and he did all that in 58 minutes, and he was taken off with an injury.
And those 6 offloads, there was no flick it out the back and hope for the best. No. They were all just calculated. They all hit their mark. It was, I can't believe he came back on the field.
I know statistically he's not setting the world alight, but I do think Piakura is maturing quite a lot as a player. He's taking the smart option quite a bit more regularly. Don't get me wrong, he still needs to get quite a bit more out of him, but I do think he's maturing as a player where you can trust him on that edge. And as I said, he hasn't been perfect, but I definitely think he's improving.
Yeah, he's been good. And that's it. Like, just strip it back. He doesn't need to do the flashy stuff. We know he runs a great line. It's just almost that Melbourne mentality of get your defence right, get the little things right. He's a not a freak talent. He's a bloody good talent. The attack will come.
Yeah. I'm not sure what happened with Jesse Arthurs this game. He must have been injured or something. But that clean drop, but like he had 8 runs, 79 metres. He's been quiet for a little bit. He started the year red hot. Then he went solid and he had all these tries. And yes, tries-wise, he's probably still up there or thereabouts. But this game specifically is really quiet. And it looks a bit flat at the moment, Jesse Arthurs. But yeah, look, brilliant win. Showed a lot of fight. Very proud. Like these are the kind of games where your form hasn't been great. They're 2 on the trot. You take them. You just take them.
Yeah.